In this series, I'm going to work through the book R for Data Science. My goal is to create a essentially audio book, or I guess you could say audio/visual book that guides you through the contents of R for Data Science. I'll be working through each chapter, essentially teaching the content. I'm not going to be reading it word for word, but I'm just going to work through it and relay the information. And any of the examples that are shown, I will show them in real time. Along the way, if there's extra or supplemental information I could provide to help you understand a concept, I'll work that in. And I'll also do some filtering. If there is content in the book that I think isn't necessary and we want to just move along quicker, I will filter that out. And there are two primary ways I could see this guide being useful. The first is if you are just looking to passively go through this content and get an overview of R for Data Science, you could just watch the videos, you can maybe put them on 2x speed, and just quickly absorb the information from the book. The other way I could see being useful is to essentially just reinforce everything in the book. I know personally, my learning style is I often have to see things multiple times before they really start to stick. So maybe you've already read the book and now you're going to go through these videos, or you're going to go through both at the same time. And hopefully that multiple pass through the content will just help everything make a little bit more sense. So those are my goals with this series, and jumping right in, I'm looking at the website for the free version of the book. You can also order the book on Amazon and support the authors of the book, which I highly recommend, especially if you prefer a print copy. For this online version, we have a menu on the left with a link to each chapter in the book. We're going to skip over the preface, nothing really essential we need to know there, and let's get straight to the introduction. Here, they tell us what we're going to learn in this book, and there's a nice flow chart to summarize that. We're going to learn how to import data, how to tidy it or clean it up. Then we're going to work with that data to understand it. And finally, we're going to communicate our results. Zooming in on the understand step, you can see that it's actually an iterative process where you're going to be transforming your data, visualizing it, and modeling it. And you're going to do that repeatedly and in multiple forms until you get a clear picture of your data and you can answer some of the research questions you're looking at. Scrolling down, we have some details about each of the steps shown in this flow chart. So starting with import, here we learn that there's basically multiple sources we might be using for our data, whether it's a simple stored data file, or maybe we have a database that we're going to be pulling the data from, or maybe we're even going to be pulling it from the web, but we need to import it and get it into R so we can work with it. Once your data is imported, you're going to tidy it. And this essentially means cleaning up the data and sometimes reorganizing it so it's easy to understand and also easy to run it through the functions that R provides. For a concrete example of what you might do as part of the tidying process, let's imagine you had a data set that looks like this, where you're tracking how many hours people exercise each week. So for your columns, you have individual people's names, and then following that, you have multiple columns for week 1, week 2, week 3, and then you have the hours filled in for each of the people and those appropriate weeks. All right, this format is not tidy because each column after name, it represents the same variable, how many hours exercise, but it's spread across different weeks. An optimal or tidy version of the data would look like this. So now each column is a variable. We've got name, week, and hours, and each row is an observation, one person's hours for 1 week. This sort of tidy transformation is exactly what they're talking about here when they say that each column is a variable and each row is an observation. Another way we could describe this transformation is we basically went from wide format to long format, which if you have familiarity with statistics, it's just two separate ways of storing our data. And what we just did, or what we described, is essentially reshaping your data. That's one of the several things you might do as part of the tidying process. Once your data is tidy, you're ready to move on to the next step, which is to transform it. Transforming it will include filtering it down to the key parts of the data you're interested in. You might also calculate and store new data based on existing data. So for example, if you know a variable like distance and time, from that you could calculate speed and store that information. And of course, you can also calculate summary statistics like counts or means. Moving on from the wrangling steps of transforming and tidying your data, we get into the understanding portion of it. The two main mechanisms we're going to use to understand our data is going to be visualization and modeling. Visualization is obviously going to be steps like creating charts and graphs, which of course helps us as humans to wrap our heads around our data. But as noted here, they don't scale particularly well because they require our human brains to interpret them. And so the other tool that we're going to be using is models. Models are basically math that helps us describe explain or predict patterns in our data. And for an analogy between the two, imagine the visualization as like a map, right? It's going to show you where locations and roads are in a city. But a model can tell you, for example, well, what's the fastest route between these two locations? So two separate tools, but complementary tools that, again, help us achieve that goal of understanding our data. Once you understand your data, you can move on to the last step, which is communicating it. Obviously, a big goal of data science is to be able to communicate your results to others. And so in this book, they're going to provide some tools to do that. How can you create some pretty rich and interesting documents that help present to others what information you found within your data. Now, in order to accomplish all of the things we just talked about, we are going to be using programming. R is a programming language, and so you're going to be learning about basic programming paradigms. And as someone who has spent most of her career teaching other people how to program, especially at a beginning level, I just want to lay out front that it could be really frustrating and confusing at first. But it is incredibly rewarding once you get the hang of it. So stick with it and go easy on yourself as we're going through this, especially if you are new to programming and never really expected to be a programmer. You're just interested in data science. There's no way to escape the programming aspect of it. So you might as well embrace it and hopefully have some fun along the way. Moving on, we learn how the book is organized. And the key takeaway here is that we're going to be jumping ahead. We're not going to start with importing and tidying just because that's a little bit boring. Instead, we're going to get into visualization just to get motivated and get a sense of what we can do. And of course, we will circle back and get to the important stuff of importing and tidying because we can't do data science without it. Further down, we're told what we're not going to learn in this book. And the first thing listed here is modeling, which is a little contradictory because in the flowchart of things we were going to learn, modeling was one of those things. And I think the point they're trying to make here is that this book is going to be introducing basic modeling concepts, but it's not going to do a deep dive into modeling. And they recommend a book to check out if you want to learn more about that. So I think they're just trying to set some baseline expectations. Similarly, with big data, a lot of the examples we're going to be looking at in this book is going to be working with smaller example data sets. Getting into bigger data sets is a whole other can of worms and a little bit beyond the context of this book. And then finally, there are other programming languages that are definitely capable of doing data science, but that's not the focus of this book. This book is going to be focusing on R. In regards to prerequisites, they mention you should be generally numerically literate, and they also mention it would be helpful if you have some basic programming experience. And I would add on to this to say it would be helpful if you have some basic statistical experience, but I don't think it's necessarily required, just would be helpful. Following that, we learn about the software we're going to be using, which of course is the R programming language. We're going to be using RStudio, which is basically just a code editor designed to work specifically with R. And then we're going to be using R packages, which allow us to add additional functionality to the base installation of R. A family of packages that will be featured in this book and are heavily used in the data science community fall under the name of Tidyverse. So to get this software all set up, the first step is to download R. You could do this from the CRAN network. Here's a link to the homepage for that. You're going to want to choose your appropriate operating system. So in my case, I would choose Mac OS. And then choose an appropriate installer for the version of Mac that I'm running. And then once I've got that installer set up on my computer, I would run it and install it just like I would any other program on my computer. Similarly, if let's say you're on Windows, in this case, it's much simpler. You're just going to choose the base installation. That'll give you an installer that you'll download to your computer, and you can run through that, again, just like any other software you would on your computer until R is installed. Now, there is a way to interact with R using just the software. I just showed you how to download and install, but we're going to be doing everything through RStudio, which I mentioned is a code editor designed to work with R. So step number 2, you want to get that downloaded. Once again, there's a link in the book we could follow to download that. On this page, we're looking for step 2, install RStudio. It should detect your operating system. So just click this button to get the appropriate downloader and follow the steps that that downloader provides. Once you have RStudio installed, go ahead and load it. This is the interface you're going to see. The interface is broken up into multiple panes. And to begin with, we're going to be focusing in this console pane. Here we have a prompt where we can execute R code. As an example, I'm going to write out a line of R code. Even knowing nothing about the basic syntax of R, you could probably take a good guess at what this code is going to do. It's going to provide a mean of these numbers that I've provided. And if I hit enter to execute that line of code, that's exactly what we get. The mean of 1, 8, 5, 4, and 3 is 4.2. Now, there's lots of details we're going to get into regarding this line of code, such as the use of parentheses and commas. What does this C mean here? But the takeaway is just this idea of we can write our code at this prompt, hit enter that code will get executed and we're going to get some response. And this command interface is going to help us set up with the last piece of the puzzle we need in terms of initial software, which is those Tidyverse R packages I was talking about. To install those packages, we're going to use a command called install.packages. And then in parentheses, we're going to pass in quotes the name of the packages we want. And in this case, that's going to be Tidyverse. So once again, I'll hit enter to run that command. And now those packages are installed on my computer. And that was a one-time step. But moving forward, anytime I want to use those packages when I'm working in RStudio or in the R context, I have to load them. And I'm going to do that with a command called library. So we're going to say library, and in parentheses, we're going to indicate the packages we want to load. In this case, it's going to be Tidyverse. And you'll notice this time I didn't wrap Tidyverse in quotes like I did when installing the package. Technically, I could, and it would still work, but it's not necessary, and conventionally, you don't see it with your library commands. When installing the packages, it was required. And this is just one of the first many quirks you're going to encounter when working with programming. Sometimes the presence or absence of little things like quotes can actually make a difference. Other times it doesn't make a difference, and it's all just about discovering and learning those patterns. So once again, I'll hit enter to run this command. And we get feedback about which packages were actually attached to our current session. There are 9 core packages that make up the Tidyverse universe. So there's actually not just a single Tidyverse package we're dealing with here, it's 9 separate packages. If you see any messages about conflicts, you can ignore that for right now. It's not going to interfere with any of the work that we're going to be doing. Beyond the Tidyverse packages, there are some other miscellaneous packages that this book is going to be using as well. So let's go back to the book contents. Under the section Other Packages, and there's a install packages command we're going to just copy and paste and run. These are the other miscellaneous packages that we're going to encounter. So let's copy this, paste it in at our console, hit enter. This is downloading several more packages than what was included in Tidyverse, so you can expect this to take a little bit longer to finish. So those packages are now installed, and as needed, we could use the library command to reference them individually, but we don't need them directly, so we're not going to load anything just yet. And with that step complete, we have done everything we need to set up our software requirements for this book. We've got R installed, we've got RStudio to work with, and we've got the necessary packages. To wrap up this chapter, let's go back to the book site, and there are some notes here about the code as it's going to be presented in this book. And the main distinction they're making here is how they're going to be presenting the code versus how you're going to see it and run it in RStudio. When they present the code, and they use an example command here of just 1 + 2, they're just going to have that command there. And then if it produces any output, they're going to represent that output with this # sign. So if we were to run this in RStudio, this is the output we would get. And of course, when we're in RStudio, what it's going to actually look like is we're going to see our > sign as our console prompt. We would run the command and we would just get the output. In fact, let's see that. So let's copy the command they give us, go to RStudio, here's our prompt, going to paste it in, and then there's our output. All right, now the reason it's different, the reason they don't include the prompt as part of the code examples in the book is because they want to make it easy for us to just copy and paste code and run it in RStudio ourselves. So we could just grab this whole line and copy it. Whereas if they include the prompt like we see it in RStudio, we'd have to be very careful when we're copying it and make sure we don't grab that prompt as well, because obviously that's not part of the command. So just some syntax details to be aware of, and they have some additional notes down here, which I'm going to actually skip over because a lot of the stuff won't really make sense until we get to it. And once we get to it, you'll start to see these patterns and understand the syntax that they're using. But with that, we have completed the introduction section. We have a understanding of what this book is going to cover, and we have the basic tools we're going to need to follow along with the examples they provide. Continuing along, I will have a link on the screen to the next section of this book.